Holy cow! Welcome to Donnie's Hangout Adventures, and I just recorded a Rumble video, which I'm probably going to upload. It probably won't upload. If it takes a while, I probably won't upload it until later tonight, or maybe even tomorrow. But I will upload it, no question about that. Now, on the YouTube side of this, I'm shooting back-to-back videos. I just did one about Trump. So I'll be on Rumble, like I said. And this one, well, I just discussed the White Sox not too many videos ago. And they were on the crust of making history. Even that video. And the White Sox are the worst team. If they're not the worst team, they should be on the Mount Rushmore of worst teams in Major League Baseball history, at least for one season. That's not a honor that you want to be credited as one of the worst teams, because quite frankly, you want to be remembered as one of the best teams of all time, at least for a given season. White Sox. The 1962 Mets can be forgiven. They can be forgiven, and they have been forgiven over time. They were a franchise. They were a new team. They just started their team, and so they had a lot of players that really didn't go anywhere. Over half their roster wasn't there in the '69 Miracle Mets. More than half their roster. So the Mets were regarded as one of the worst teams in modern day history. They only won 40 games all year, which people were shocked at that. They won 40 games. And they ended up, losing 120 games. And there's been a couple instances here and there where there were some really horrendous teams that could almost break it. There was an Oriole team that was really bad. They came really close to that. There was a Detroit Tiger team. They were really close to breaking that record. But all season long, you had a feeling, the White Sox, on how bad their roster is, how bad their farm system is, just how bad their pitching staff is, how bad their hitting is. It's all aboard. Yes, they've had spurts where it looks like maybe this team ain't as bad as it says it is, but they're bad. They're really, really bad. The attendance is something you only see in movies like Major League. Their attendance is horrible. They have one of the worst attendance in Major League Baseball this year. And yesterday, they lost to the Padres 4-2 to equal on an unbreakable record that nobody wants. Nobody wants. They tied the record for the Mets of 122 losses, unless they win the remaining of their games, which ain't going to happen. They're going to lose some more games. So they're one game away from breaking that record, and this is a record that nobody wants. Nobody wants. And their manager, their original manager that they fired, he lasted nearly a quarter of the season. Yeah, it wasn't until they had lost 89 games that they fired their manager. They have an interim manager right now, but he ain't going to be there next year. There's going to be a complete turnover on their roster. I don't think it's going to help any. Will they be as bad next year? No. Nothing's going to be as bad as 120 games. Losing that many. It's like the Browns, going 0-16. They weren't going to be as bad as the 0-16 team. No, they weren't going to. If they won one game, they weren't as bad, which they did. But let me tell you this, the White Sox are the worst team in Major League Baseball history by the numbers. Across the board, This team is horrible. They are really, really bad. And there's no team this year that is as bad as them. I think they're the only team in Major League Baseball this year that have 100 plus losses. They are horrendous. And there will be a roster turnover. I do not think they can do what the Mets did in the 60s. The Mets started looking at their roster. They started acquiring new players for that potential World Series run 7 years into their franchise. Now, White Sox have been around for over 100 years, and this is the worst. There's no question. This is their worst team they've ever had throughout their history. There's no other team they've had that's been this bad. Yes, they're going to have a roster turnover. They're going to have a number one pick, but no matter what, it ain't going to matter. It has to be a complete build, and I don't think it's going to work anyway. They will probably lose more games. They'll probably be in close to another 100-loss season next year. I don't think they're going to be as bad as this. I don't think. Wouldn't it be horrible if they broke their own record for most losses in the season? Oh, good Lord. And they'll probably break that record. They're at 120. The next one, they go into the Hall of Shame with 121 losses. And all the Mets that are still alive from that 62 team can breathe a sigh of relief because they're not the worst team in history. They're not the worst team in history because of how horrendous the White Sox are. Here's something. There's two Major League Baseball teams in Chicago. I'm sure you know this. White Sox and the Cubs. The Cubs just got eliminated from the playoffs. They have like around 77 wins or something like that. They just got eliminated from the playoffs. That team is 10 times better than the White Sox team. Think about that. They have doubled the amount of wins that the White Sox have had for the entire season. Was this an overnight thing for the White Sox? No. They've been slowly getting worse the last 3 or 4 years. Slowly. It takes a little time for teams to become one of the worst teams in history. It takes a little bit of hard work to be able to do this kind of thing. And let me tell you, the White Sox have done it. They're going to be the sole owners of the most losses in Major League Baseball history. And that's a record that nobody wants. Nobody.
Me and Mom are saying that's all for now.
That's all for now.